no downtime, and the procedure takes just 30 minutes or less. Don't be one of the 8 million people in the UK suffering in almost silence. Get back to what you love doing. X-Royd. Be kind to your behind. For free advice on hemorrhoids, text KIND to 81156.
This is a plug. A plug for the future. Inviting you to join the forward-thinking riders, skaters, and drivers who choose electricity to get around. Charging their bikes, boards, and cars using power from EDF Energy, the UK's largest producer of low-carbon electricity. So, do you like the sound of the electric future? Come and join us. Generation Electric. Everyone's welcome. EDF Energy.
At Argos, Big Red is on with products you'll want at prices you'll love. Save 20% on thousands of stylish indoor furniture products. Plus, we've got a range of large Hoover appliances, all for £249 or less. With Argos, you get to go. Conditions apply, subject to availability. Furniture offer ends the 3rd of September. Hoover offer ends the 27th of August.
Dad, I'm bored.
Why don't you help me water the garden?
Don't worry. This summer we've got loads of exciting activity ideas to keep the kids entertained without even having to leave London. Make the most of the sunshine and go raise paper boats, pick wildflowers, or make a rocket pack out of a cereal box. Look online for Asda Tour de Fun for even more exciting activity ideas. Go discover your fun side with Asda.
Make sure you're uni-ready with our huge range of practical essentials and home-from-home comforts and get 10% off for a limited time. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Dunelm, the home of home.
Casting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Scow, along with Lisa Abramowitz and Paul Sweeney, and the S&P 500 higher at the open, up 0.25% or 7 points at 2931. Dow Jones Industrial average up 0.25% or 69 points to 26,280. And the Nasdaq's up 0.25% or 19 points to 8040. 10-year Treasury down 430 seconds, yield 1.60%. Yield on the 2-year 1.59%. NYMEX crude oil up 0.8% or 45 cents at 56.13 a barrel. COMEX gold down 0.5% or $6.80 to $15.09 an ounce. The euro 1.1086 against the dollar. The yen 106.54. Lisa and Paul.
Karen Moscow, thank you so much. This is a treat here. Our good friend Brian Weiser, he's a Group M president for business intelligence. He's been covering the media, internet, technology space, advertising space for years from all sides, and we've got him here this morning. Brian, thanks so much for joining us on the phone. I think I'd like to start with the deal that you and I and every other media investor has been kind of waiting for seemingly for years, which is this Viacom-CBS merger. It looks like they're getting back together. What did this mean for your side of the street, Madison Avenue, advertisers? Do they even care?
Well, yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on. I do think that they care because it does concentrate a little more inventory, which in this context is probably a good thing on balance. It seems like, Viacom has a product called, has a number of what they call advanced products. And being able to apply those across CBS inventory, being able to run a campaign across the combined CBS Viacom inventory together, which is hopefully something that happens, is probably an incrementally good thing. It's not a game changer by any stretch, but that's positive. And at the same time, the concentration of ad inventory doesn't meaningfully alter the dynamics in terms of who has what power in the industry. CBS was already one of the first places you would go to spend money because of their broadcast network. Viacom was already important because they could sell a lot of inventory cheaply. I think the bigger implications are sort of what comes next. Like, do they keep Simon and Schuster or not? And then do they sell it and get free up some capital to do something else that's interesting? Do they double down on their studio and then at the same time double down on what CBS All Access is? Or do they try to become this arms merchant of content and try to replicate what Warner Brothers was, which is to say every company's second favorite supplier of content? I don't know that they can do both, by the way. but the implications for the industry will follow from what they choose to do once they figure out what they're going to do.
Brian, I find it so interesting, this transformation that's been going on from cable to online and digital and streaming. And as an advertiser, as try to understand how to best reach consumers. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, which platform is the further along in terms of creating an advertising platform that is really accessible and effective with consumers?
Well, I mean, one of the older ones, broadcast television, is probably still that thing. I mean,
it still is.
Oh yeah, I mean, the reach of broadcast TV is still unparalleled. Nothing comes close, and on top of that, the impact of sight, sound, and motion, the pairing of the content brand with an advertiser's brand. I mean, it's no mistake that, a most extreme example I could point to is something like Apple, the advertiser. Last I checked, they almost only advertise on broadcast TV and outdoor billboards, right? And which computer company has a brand left? Right, it's Apple.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, Brian, you think about it here. One of the things, the businesses that Viacom had that I thought was pretty interesting, and it doesn't get a lot of play. When we think about streaming, we think about Netflix, all the subscription-driven streaming services, again, like Netflix or Hulu. But Viacom bought this company called Pluto TV, and I think it's what it's called, advertising streaming video on demand. Tell us about kind of that market, and do you think that's a growing, viable market for the entertainment sector?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think of it as anything particularly different. It's just a bunch of video inventory that's ad-supported. In fact, I often find myself watching Bloomberg on Pluto when whatever reason.
Thank you for that.
You don't say.
Well, right now it's funny. I'm streaming the Bloomberg on my over Xfinity, the Comcast service, and if that was down for some reason or my password wasn't working or whatever, I can go and watch it on Pluto for free. Now, Viacom has some inventory there, so they're just running ads on programming that comes from Bloomberg in that case. And there's a couple of hundred other channels, many of which also run on traditional TV. So I wouldn't think of it as necessarily anything overly different. It's just premium video inventory.
One thing I'm wondering, though, when you talk about cable TV and how that still is the best distribution network in terms of power and reach, I'm wondering, though, if the time has changed, the sort of 30-second spot, whether you're seeing it compressed, how is that sort of evolving?
Yeah, I mean, in a traditional TV format, it really hasn't changed much at all. That said, I think that there's this idea that you should be able to create video assets for digital environments where maybe it's inside of a news feed and a 30-second ad just won't work. You need assets that can work in maybe 2 seconds, if not 6. But at the end of the day, it's a very different kind of ad. I actually think of those sorts of ads as the evolution of rich media. If you go back, to the dawn of the internet, you had simple banner ads, right, which were just straight up display ads. As technology became better, as connections became faster, you had moving images on those banner ads. And then as time progressed, you could have video elements inside of those ads. And now we're at a point where in the same place where you would have consumed a banner ad, there might be a place where you could roll your cursor over it and then a video ad would pop up. It's a very different proposition because you're not, as an advertiser, you're not pairing sight, sound, and motion of the content with your brand. You're not borrowing brand equity in the same way. For whatever reason, the brand equity that a consumer attaches to the content doesn't translate to the brand, the advertiser's brand, in the same way in that context, right? If I watch Bloomberg and I see a video ad, I may associate the quality of the programming I've just seen with the brand who's advertising. it doesn't always translate as well for whatever reason in other environments. So back to the point of a 2-second ad or a 6-second ad, you've got a very different objective in terms of what you're trying to do and what your business goal is in running it in the first place.
Brian, you're going to be sticking with us. We're going to come back and continue this discussion. We're going to pivot, I think, to some of the fastest growing part of the advertising pie, and that is digital, of course. We're talking Alphabet, we're talking Facebook, and all those other digital players. That's where the growth seems to be in terms of advertising. Brian Weiser, he is Group M Global President for Business Intelligence. He'll be sticking with us. It's just really interesting, Lisa, kind of some of Brian's comments where, it's despite all the different advertising opportunities created by not just cable television, but the internet, broadcast television, there's still a place there for advertisers in the menu.
Not just a place, the main place. That's actually shocking to me, that actually billboards, outdoor billboards, and cable television, that old school methodology, the most successful.
Yeah, it's still, it's got a lot of reach, and we'll have to see. This is Bloomberg.
Let's get a check on what's happening outside the business world. Michael Barr here. Michael?
Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you, Paul. Former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper says that he will run for the U.S. Senate. Hickenlooper, a Democrat, will run against Republican Cory Gardner, who currently holds the seat. As President Trump signals some support for gun background checks, Democrats want to make sure they are strong enough. Democratic Congressman Ted Deutsch.
If someone wants to purchase a gun at a gun store, they have to go through a federal background check. They should be subject to that same background check if they buy a gun at a gun show or if they buy the gun online.
President Trump once again backed tighter background checks for gun purchases, but said he wants to be careful that closing what he calls loopholes doesn't clear the way for more gun control. California fishermen are reporting one of the best salmon fishing seasons in years, thanks to heavy rain and snow that ended the California historic drought. Pacific Coast fishing communities are enjoying a sharp reversal for king salmon. This year's adult salmon are the first class to benefit from record rainfall, making it easier for juvenile king salmon to migrate to the Pacific Ocean, where they grow into full-size fish. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Lisa Paul.
Thank you so much, Michael. We are looking at a little bit of a rally, although it's really tepid, to say the best, here in the first couple minutes of trading. From New York, this is Bloomberg Surveillance.
The art and antiques world is constantly evolving. Trends come and go. Fashions change. But the one constant is exquisite 18th century English furniture. Always in good taste, always in style. In business for 50 years, Hyde Park Antiques showcases the most extensive and finest inventory of pure 18th and early 19th century English furniture on either side of the Atlantic. Simply set foot in our 20,000 square foot gallery and you're transported to another time. Living with antiques brings a feeling of continuity with the graciousness of the past and the sense of assurance into the future. Hyde Park Antiques acquires antique furniture from estates and from across the globe. No reproductions. Each piece is absolutely genuine and of the period represented. See our stunning collection online at HydeParkAntiques.com. That's HydeParkAntiques.com. Hyde Park Antiques, where good taste never goes out of fashion.
For the fifth time running, Commonwealth Financial Network is ranked #1 by J.D. Power for highest and independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms. Placing first is nothing new at Commonwealth. In fact, we've been putting advisors like you first since we opened our doors in 1979, by being accountable to you and your clients alone. By making consistent investments to ensure that you have every possible tool, support, and competitive advantage, and by virtue of the fact that you can trust us to have your back through both good and challenging times. It all translates to the kind of experience that brings out the best in you and in us. To learn more about the partner that ranks you and your clients #1 with everything we do, call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor, broker-dealer. For J.D. Power 2018 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
This is a Bloomberg Pursuits Look.
This is a plug. A plug for the future. Inviting you to join the forward-thinking riders, skaters, and drivers who choose electricity to get around. Charging their bikes, boards, and cars using power from EDF Energy, the UK's largest producer of low-carbon electricity. So, do you like the sound of the electric future? Come and join us. Generation Electric. Everyone's welcome. EDF Energy.
Make sure you're uni-ready with our huge range of practical essentials and home-from-home comforts and get 10% off for a limited time. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Dunelm, the home of homes.
Phew! Currys PC World Mega Deals are hot stuff. You can save up to £150 on Samsung fridge freezers, all with a soothing 5-year guarantee. Starting from just $379 for the RB29. Or upgrade to an American-style model with £150 off the RS8000 and chill in the heat with its water and ice dispenser. A hot mega deal for a cool $999 at Currys PC World.
At Asda, save 25% on a great range of wines when you mix and match any 6 bottles or more. Bring it home with Asda. Save money, live better. Selected lines in selected stores, 75 centilitre and 1.5 litre bottles, £4 and above, excludes gift sets, fortified and meal deal wines, in store only, excludes Scotland, ends 26th of August 2019, drink aware.
This summer at Chessington World of Adventures Resort, answer the call of the wild. With over 1,000 of the world's most amazing animals and over 40 of the wildest rides and attractions. Meet the Gruffalo and all your favourite characters at the Gruffalo Summer Party, and so much more. Book early and save up to 40% at Chessington.com. It's Britain's wildest adventure for all the family.
The sun gently fell below the horizon. Rays of pure gold filled the sky, illuminating the towering structures of the London skyline. What else could Jane do but gaze in awe? She was but a silhouette upon a hill, wrapped up in a spectacle so perfect. No words, oil paintings, or smartphone filters could do it justice. She savoured it. Before hopping back on her bike and riding off, she had to finish her commute home. Walk, cycle, discover. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
And at TikTok on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
Adversaries of the president are smirking at a biblical reference made by Trump as contemptuous.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning.
Mr. Trump admitted there may be some short-term pain for the American economy for sticking with the fight against China, but he blamed his 3 previous predecessors for not taking on Beijing on trade back when. Bob Costantini, the White House.
Trump has ordered the Education Department to eliminate federal student loan debt owed by American veterans who are completely and permanently disabled.
The executive action will wipe out an average of $30,000 of debt owed by more than 20,000 eligible veterans. Veterans who are permanently and totally disabled are already eligible to have their student loan debt forgiven, but this executive action makes it automatic. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
I'm John Trout.
Welcome to the marathon that never ends.
The party may have passed him by.
Politics, policy, power, and law.
If the House doesn't want to move on this, it won't.
Weekdays at noon Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow. Stocks are riding as traders parse economic data and await an address by Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. The S&P 500 up 1/3% or 10 points at 2934. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 0.5% or 140 points to 26,343. And the Nasdaq's up 0.25% or 20 points to 8040. 10-year Treasury up 2/32, yield 1.58%. Yield on the 2-year 1.56%. NYMEX crude oil up 0.5% or 25 cents at $55.94 a barrel. COMEX gold down 0.2% or $3.10 to $15.1270 an ounce. The euro 1.1091 against the dollar, and the yen is at 106.39. Dick's Sporting Goods is up more than 4% after raising its earnings guidance for the full year on the back of second quarter profit and sales that topped analyst estimates. And Societe Generale has hired Bain to help it cut costs at its Paris headquarters. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Paul and Lisa.
Karen, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We are back with our good friend Brian Weiser. Brian is a Group M Global President for Business Intelligence. And in the first segment, we talked about some of the traditional media companies and kind of where some of the opportunities are there and kind of how the advertisers view some of those traditional media companies. I want to switch gears a little bit and focus on really where the growth has been in terms of digital media, allocation of ad budgets over the last decade or so. And that's been the big digital platforms such as Google and Facebook. So, Brian, give us a sense. I mean, we keep seeing these Facebook and Google. It really looks like a duopoly for the digital advertising space. What's the view from Madison Avenue as they think about where to allocate dollars in digital media?
Yeah, well, it is and it isn't. Certainly from a vantage point of which digital media owners capture the vast majority of spending, absolutely, it's Google and Facebook. It's, depending on how you want to define it, it's call it 75% of digital spending is going to those two companies, at least from an interface with the buyers. But on the other hand, from a larger marketer's perspective, you have two players that are maybe 20 to 30% of spending, because most large advertisers diversify their spend right across multiple media owners. And it's not, I haven't run the numbers and trying to figure out the best way to do it, but it's arguably not that different than 20 years ago, where you might have had 20 to 30% of your spend concentrated with a couple of entities, specifically TV network groups. And maybe it's not that different, not sure. From a small business's perspective, you could argue that most of them only spend